live? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live?
Are we live?
We're live.
We're live.
Hey, British Unknown. And everyone else viewing. British Unknown is the only person who has commented. Oh, we have, hello again from Srinivas Stage.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. You're watching the Tech Radar weekly live show. And today on the couch, I've got James Peckham, who came back from Brazil last week.
Yeah, for this thing.
One Moto.
One Moto
G6. So you can read James's review of the Moto G6. In a nutshell, James, what did you think of the phone?
That's a nutshell. 4.5 stars. Really, really happy with it. Genuinely like pretty much everything about it. It is a really good affordable phone. The battery life isn't incredible like it is on some of the other Motorola phones. That's one of the downsides of it, but apart from that, it's kind of the all-round package for affordable handsets, and I think that's really set the precedent this year for what phones should be in that £250 price bracket thing. But this isn't even 250 quid, it's 220 quid, so this is the lower end of that.
So it lost that half star because of the not mind-blowing battery life.
Yeah, pretty much. A couple of other little tiny things, but nothing major. Like this time you do have NFC on it, you still got a headphone jack. There's loads of, literally everything's a positive apart from, and the battery life is still quite positive. It still will last a day, but compared to what we've seen on the Moto E4 Plus, for example, the even cheaper handset from last year, and what with a not rumored,
the
but
G6 Play.
Yeah, what they Moto G6 Play. Yeah, our review of that is live now, and that seems to have really good battery life as well. So yeah, that is a bit of a downside of it, but also if you're fine with the day's battery life, you'll be happy with this. That's
and for like
Tech Radar recommended.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
It looks banging in the flesh. I don't know. Photos don't do it justice.
I don't think it does either. Yeah, I've really struggled to get like a main photo of the phone because I don't think it's. Yeah, it doesn't dazzle on video or anything.
No,
really,
it doesn't.
It was quite a really hard one to shoot, but in real life, it does really feel really nice. So if you are uncertain on it, try and find it in a shop, or see if you've got a friend or something that you can go and test it out in the flesh. Color choices that aren't amazing though for this.
No,
it's the black, the blue, and then there's like a gold kind of color, which I don't think is that amazing. But I think these colors are quite dull looking.
I don't think the gold's coming to the UK.
Is it not?
I might be wrong on that, but I don't think it is. But on the Plus, the black has this kind of S pattern, kind of indigo-y type off-angle look, so it adds a little bit of.
I'm showing it to you, but you probably can't see it on this camera. Like I can't.
I mean I can hardly see it, but you really. It's a really great phone.
You have to concentrate.
So the chat room is going crazy.
Hello everyone.
Shout out to Romeo De Jong, Satish Birajda. We have Syria Forever in here. Garth UU, and that's everybody. But we've also got questions.
Yeah, there's a question there already saying how much is the 64GB version. I think you're talking about 64GB Moto G6 because we were just talking about that. In the UK, that's 200 and I think 250 or 240. I'm not sure on American pricing. I'm not even sure if the 64GB one is available in the US. Actually,
I don't know.
They didn't confirm that at the press conference, so that might not be the case because in the UK it's an Amazon exclusive for the 64GB one.
Yeah.
So that might not be the same in the US.
64 gig, 4 gig of RAM, and confirm that was a Moto G6, not the OnePlus.
Sorry,
6.
Moto G6. Yeah.
Cool.
OnePlus 6.
OnePlus.
They're going to make a OnePlus 6.
So apparently, there is going to be a launch event in next week, pretty much. Launch date is May the 16th, a week after even, when the OnePlus 6 successor to the OnePlus 5T will likely drop. It will be the first OnePlus, by the looks of things, that will introduce a notch, as well as water resistance.
You're spoiling it. You're spoiling all our headline features.
I'm not, because there's a lot to talk about here.
So much to talk about.
And plus, you guys make the show. So please fire any thoughts, feelings, questions, comments into the live chat, and we will do our best to cover them.
I really want to know what people want from this phone, because it feels like these ones need to be a massive step up. Now we're getting 2 phones a year from OnePlus.
Everybody.
We were criticising Sony this time last year, or this time 2 years ago at least, for saying they were releasing too many phones, and now we're like, we've got 2 phones a year from OnePlus and we're kind of fine with it.
I mean,
so I want to see what people want from it, really. There's no criticism of them releasing a phone every 6 months so far, so I'm really interested in that, to see what people really want as that.
I mean, with the OnePlus 5T, they introduced 18:9 aspect ratio. That was the big thing, and face unlock. So with this, it's increasing the screen size even more. So looking at your comments, Romeo De Jong says, please reply to my greetings. So shout out last time to you. Motorola don't make bezel-less smartphones. Why? That's maybe one that you can park and answer later.
We'll come back to that.
Will there?
Let's stick on OnePlus for now.
Will it have an IP67 rating? So the answer to that is more than likely yes. The leak has pointed to this being, as I said, the first ever water-resistant OnePlus around. I'm not sure if that's been confirmed officially. I think it might have been, or at least alluded to, with a few splashes in a promotional video. So that's definitely a differentiator between it and the OnePlus 5T. So if you were asking how much is the 64 gigabyte variant pricing of the OnePlus 6 as opposed to the Moto G6, there's been a fresh leak today that has suggested it's going to be around 10% more than that of the Moto, so the OnePlus 5T. So to put that into context, this is an Indian pricing leak in rupees. The OnePlus 6 64 gig base model has been leaked at 33,999 rupees. Now, while that's very, very cheap for UK pricing, if it is a 10% increase year on year, or 6 month on 6 months, to the OnePlus 5T, suggesting that from the UK, the pricing will come in at around £500 for the 64 gig version, when the 5T at 64 gigs launched at £449. How do you feel about that? £500 OnePlus 5T?
Yeah. The reason we were all interested in OnePlus at the start was the pricing, wasn't it? It was those like top-end flagship specs at that low price. We've kind of thrown that out the window now. It's a little bit cheaper than the flagship guys.
It is,
but not by much. It is a really minuscule amount of money.
You look at the other kind of phones. I'm going to ruin the like processor and capacity storage variants now, but a Snapdragon 845 in the UK, only the Sony Xperia XZ2 and XZ2 compacts have that incredibly powerful chipset.
Yeah, true.
So it's bringing that to a lower price point than both of those phones, even the compact.
Yeah, and it is still that step cheaper, because if you want to get an iPhone 8 even, you're going to be spending at least £600 on you, perhaps even a little bit more. I think it's more the 650 brackets. So yeah, it is good still. But
it is, but what OnePlus is doing is they may be testing the waters, but they are introducing the phone earlier in the year, so people aren't going to have to wait as long to get that flagship processor, but bumping up the price a little bit now that OnePlus is a brand that people actually want to own.
Yeah, definitely.
So they've definitely gone from being the complete underdog to being a really desirable brand.
Back on the waterproofing thing just for 1 second, I've just checked, and it was a teaser suggesting that it was going to be water resistant. It doesn't confirm anything yet, so we don't know that for certain. And it could also be that in the end it does end up being a water-resistant phone rather than them toting it as a phone that you want to dip in.
I mean, it could be
or taking a shower with you.
IPX5, which is just splash-proof.
It could be, but yeah, the teaser does suggest that it's more going to be waterproof, because you're not really going to tease that you've got a water-resistant phone, because pretty much every phone is a little bit water-resistant at least.
This is true.
Just by being alive.
Just by being alive. So we have more questions.
Fire them.
Are you going to the OnePlus 6 launch? Yes, we will indeed be there. We will also be getting you everything on techradar.com as soon as it happens, and video hands-ons here. So keep it locked. Subscribe if you're not already. The British Unknown says, I hope they ditch the iCopy design this time. I don't mind the notch or missing headphone jack. Your thoughts? I'd prefer battery life king, or having a really great screen. So there are a few things in there. First off, do you think it's an iPhone copy?
Not particularly, especially not the 5T, especially not the 5 or the 5T.
Yeah, but if it ends up having a notch, then it may, but then everyone is doing it.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, you can just accuse everyone of being an iPhone copy this year.
Yeah.
And the leaks we've seen so far are very unlike the iPhone in the OnePlus kind of design.
Yeah, from the back. I mean, yes, it has a glass back, but it's a curved glass back as opposed to a flat glass back. In addition, there is a headphone jack that has been confirmed, and on top of that, the battery has been confirmed as larger than that of the OnePlus 5T, 3,400 milliamps.
It's going to need to be there, isn't it? Because it's going to have a much bigger screen if it's going to keep that good solid day of battery life. Exactly.
So 3,450 milliamps. It has a glass back. Wireless charging. OnePlus in the past, when quizzed on whether or not they'd include wireless charging, said that wireless charging pales in comparison to dash charge. This is a similar argument that we've seen from Huawei before, and they didn't
Lots of
include
companies,
wireless charging in their P20 or P20 Pro, though they did in the Mate RS. What do you think? Do you think it'll have wireless charging?
No, I don't think it will.
No?
I think that's one of those features that if you're buying one of these OnePlus phones where you're going to lose the odd feature and you're going to get a slightly lower resolution display than the flagship stuff. So when you're talking about the Samsung Galaxy S9, wireless charging is that one in the middle that you're not really going to care too much about. It's just a nice little have. No one has it as their must-have feature. Not really anyone has it as their must-have feature. So yeah, I think OnePlus will just be like, not yet at least. I think there's needs to be another big step forward before these kind of companies start embracing it, and the same argument from Huawei as well. So
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, yes, you do have a glass rear, but that could also be stylistically to bring it in line with the Huawei's, the iPhones, etc.
It's a star right now, isn't it? Everyone wants a glass back phone. So
yeah, it's totally true. I mean, you're looking also at mid-range devices launching like the Honor 7X with a metal back, and it's like not just mid-range, it's lower mid-range. So metal's making its way down, and glass is still seen as a premium. But then Motorola goes and releases the Moto G6, which has got a Gorilla Glass 3 back, I think.
It doesn't feel as premium as what the OnePlus 6 will do. What we expect it to feel like. We expect it to feel like, hollow is exactly the word there. It does feel a little bit hollow, but still, it's there.
It's a glass back.
And it looks good. So,
and it ships with a case in the box.
On a £220 phone. So,
Yeah, excellent stuff. So there's also been a rumour of 3 colour variants, the white, the red and the black version.
Coming out with the red straight away.
Yeah, and also another colour variant. I say colour, but special edition variant. The Avengers special edition exclusive in India. So, So
is that confirmed, or is that just a rumour?
I think it's pretty much leaked pretty heavily to the point where it's just a given. Let me just see. We should note that the superhero status of the phone, this is being read directly from our complete roundup of the OnePlus rumors on techradar.com. Go read it. There's going to be, so that's really affirmative, according to a Deadline report, a OnePlus 6 Avengers Infinity War Edition. You've seen Infinity War, right?
Yep.
Does that make you more excited about the phone?
Try not to spoil anything.
I'm not going to spoil anything, except for it's 2 hours and 45 minutes of film.
Spoil that.
No, it's not.
Now I know how long it is. Does it make me more excited about the phone? No, not really. I don't really buy into these kind of into these kind of special edition things, especially if you're going to be owning a phone for 2 years. Avengers 4 will be out, and we'll be on to even more further Marvel movies by that point. So I do find that quite strange. It's probably going to have Infinity War branding all over it rather than being, look, it's the Iron Man phone, rather than I do find that
unless it ends up being just digital branding, so that you can make it invisible.
But it'd be really cool if they just got like 4 of the main Avengers or something and just made colour variants for that.
No, that would
like
be
an
really
Iron Man
cool.
theme one and a Captain America one.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool.
I would absolutely love. What about you guys? Do you see any need for a special edition smartphone for a movie?
You had the Star Wars one last year, didn't you? For the OnePlus 5T, if I'm right. I think it wasn't the 5.
Yeah, you did indeed.
Two Star Wars editions, which were kind of limited. I think you had a Stormtrooper on the back, and then the theming on the front. It wasn't that in your face kind of thing that I'm expecting from it being an Iron Man phone and being gold and red and bling as hell.
What a colour scheme. Just like dry brushed, like aged looking Iron Man war battered body. We've also got the Honor 7X that came in a Pacific Rim special edition as well. That's pretty cool. Check out our Instagram.
That seems to be more common at the moment, actually.
So it's getting more and more. So still mid-range price, we've spoken about that. The expected launch price in the UK of the 64 gig version is around £500. I hope the OnePlus 660 has stereo speakers, a 4000 milliamp battery, IP68 water and dust resistant. So we think it might be at least splash proof, water resistant. We already said battery size relatively confirmed at 3400 milliamps. Stereo speaker, I haven't seen anything indicating it, but nothing saying it definitely won't have one either. We've never seen it from OnePlus, so it would be another really nice point of differentiation here. But I think that's one of the only things really that hasn't leaked left, right and centre.
We kind of know this phone already, really, don't we? Unless they've been pulling the wool over our eyes and been leaking out other details, that it's going to end up being a completely different device. I think at the moment we know pretty much everything, but it feels like every phone launched this year has already been like that.
Yeah,
I mean, like the Galaxy S9, we knew everything before we walked into that room. So
we really did.
Yeah, and OnePlus has been consistently releasing things this year. So, for example, they announced that there would be a notch. It didn't come from a leak, did it?
Yeah,
and we're talking about the water resistant thing. That is a teaser. So yeah, they're in control of the messaging here, really.
Definitely. And speaking of being in control of the messaging, this year OnePlus has actually made available tickets for the launch event. And we have Mahbub in the comments saying, Tech Radar going for the launch event in London? If so, I will see you there. We just found out today that the launch event in London has actually sold out for fans. So OnePlus charging a fee for fans and then giving them a goodie bag, and £50 is it off the device or something around that?
It's around the price of what you're paying to get to the event.
Yeah.
So basically, don't go to that event unless you are planning to buy the phone. I can't imagine anyone is.
Or just really like tech and launch events and want to feel the buzz.
Yeah, that's true.
We take it for granted.
Yeah, I do think it's an expensive entry without that benefit of. But if that's already money you're going to be putting down on the phone, you get a free bit of fun stuff, and you also get the experience of going to the event. You're really into that kind of stuff. I think it makes sense. But yeah, if you're not planning to upgrade your phone this year, probably I wouldn't expect it's worth that money.
Yeah, British Unknown makes a really interesting point. I'd rather take an S8 for £500 or another high-end last generation phone than a OnePlus nowadays.
Yeah, I kind of agree in some
certain respects. The S8 has a superior screen. It's got like curved Quad HD AMOLED display. You've also got a really, really like solid camera on the S8. We know that for a fact in many cases, better than the S9.
When I'm recommending people phones as well, they do want to stay with those established names. I know OnePlus is becoming a much more established names, but it's becoming an established name in our circles, and you guys at home that are watching this right now, and that is becoming a name there. It's not becoming that mainstream name that people walk into, for example, in the UK car phone warehouse and say, I want a OnePlus phone. I'm sure that does happen quite often, but it's not. If I am recommending someone on the phone, it's a little bit like, oh, I've never heard of that brand. Even though I do trust you, I'd probably rather err towards the older Samsung that I know is trusted, and I know that they've been consistently good for the last few years. So,
but what I will say, potentially OnePlus has a better track record with software updates. Yeah, because it's taken a really long time for Oreo to hit the Note 8, as Samsung has been pretty lax over the last few months.
I think that's their next big challenge. I think that's OnePlus's, and hopefully the 6 will do that for them, and it will be there because people are starting to understand that they're around. They're starting to do more market. Well, they never marketed at all at the start of the day, but they are doing marketing now. And like living in London, we see it around quite often every 6 months when they announce a new phone at the moment. So yeah, I think that's probably their next big challenge, is becoming that.
Prayer Shoe Atheist says, what phone do you guys use?
So at the moment I'm using the Moto G6, which we spoke about earlier. That's because I reviewed it, and for the last few months I've been using the iPhone 8. But yeah, we just switch phones all the time. What are you using at the moment?
At the moment,
the thing is, I sit with Basil in the office and I don't even know what phone he's using because we switch so often. Like it is that.
At the moment, I'm going to be pretty predictable though. I'm using the P20 Pro until something kicks us off the top spot for me, and it really does all come down to that battery and camera. 4,000 milliamp battery.
And that Twilight design is just.
It's beautiful, but really, even if it looks good, it's all about the battery. Like if it won't last a full day, then it's just pointless. And luckily this will, and it's got a comparable screen size to the OnePlus 6. So this is 6.1 inches. The rumors are the OnePlus 6 will be around 6.2 inches or thereabouts, and with a 4,000 milliamp battery on here, 3,400 milliamp battery. I mean, the OnePlus 6 may be worse, it may be better. It really is all going to come down to software optimizations and that Snapdragon 845. The Snapdragon 845 is an interesting one because on paper Qualcomm was saying, oh, it's more efficient than its predecessor, blah, 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 blah. But the Samsung Galaxy S8 and S9 and S9 Plus didn't wow anyone when it came to battery. Have you used any 845 devices?
No, so I'm using 845 device. I need to get onto one, but maybe the OnePlus 6 will be the first one of those that I start using. Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to seeing more come out, more than just the Sony ones, because in the UK we didn't get the Samsung, that Snapdragon 845, we got the Exynos 8, 9, 10. All these names and numbers. Right. Let's get back to your
catchy
comments,
names,
guys. I know, right? Sexy processors. So Faroud says, hey, I'm sure you guys have the OnePlus 6 already, as you will show the video as soon as it's launched, ? Yeah, so YouTube is where you want to be for all of the hands-ons. Like I said, subscribe to the channel. Now, I would love to see a 4 or 5 inch super low bezel screen on the OnePlus X2 if it ever happened. What a good point, British Unknown.
I'm sorry, it's not happening. They basically confirmed.
Sorry. This feels like deja vu to me.
Yeah.
So we were in the office one day and then James was like, so the OnePlus 5T is definitely not happening, guys. It's definitely not happening. With that kind of assurance, like, he was convinced.
No, but with the OnePlus X2, they never commented saying the 5T wasn't going to happen. That was my prediction. That
guys, it's not going to happen.
I didn't think the T was worth it personally when it first was being rumoured. I thought they would wait until the OnePlus 6 to go 18:9, and as much as Safe Face unlocks a big deal, I still don't think it was worth a 6 monthly update personally. And I think the 5 was a quite good phone, so that's why I was convinced the 5T wasn't coming around. But with the X2, they have gone on record, I think, with an interview with Tech Radar, where they said, no, we're not looking into the OnePlus X. Because it wasn't what they wanted to focus on. No. They even had an experiment with a wearable at one point. OnePlus were like looking at doing. We didn't really get out of them whether it would be a smartwatch or a fitness tracker, but they were looking at that, and then they decided we can't do this as well as the other competition right now because we're quite a small company. I think the same happened with the X, so they've gone right. We're just going to put all of our R&D development into that main line of phones, and let's make that the best it can be. Makes sense, rather than spreading yourself. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's a shame we won't get an X2, but yeah, that was what 2014, 2015, I think. I want to say.
But it launched with the Snapdragon 801, remember? And so, like with the legacy processors, you get more compatibility issues potentially. Maybe it won't last as long. It was a great idea. It was also really good from an environmental point of view because it extended the lifespan of these chipsets that that have been manufactured, and
just sat on a shelf.
Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Sorry, British Unknown.
And Giorgio Seriani says, any news about the 8128 version? So 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage. Yes, it looks likely. In fact, what looks almost certain is that this will come in a 256 gigabyte version. We're not sure if OnePlus is only going to release a 64 gig and a 256 gig version, or 3 tiers, a 64 gig, 128 gig, and a 256 gig variant. Either way, it'll definitely be in a 64 gig and the highest capacity with either 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, starting at, like I said, around £400 and then going like a fair bit higher, around 650 quid or thereabouts.
Yep.
We also have a question from where is it? There was one here which I thought was really, there it is. So CJ Photography 8 says, I'm seeing conflicting specs when it comes to the display. Will it be 1080 or 1440p? So it's going to be wide full HD.
Yeah, full HD plus is what a lot of the companies call it.
Yeah, full HD plus. So that'll be the same kind of resolution as found on the Huawei P20, P20 Pro, which leads me on to your next point. Also, why do these Chinese manufacturers expect to charge almost flagship prices for phones with 1080p displays? That's a really good point, because the Huawei P20 Pro isn't even almost a flagship price. It is a flagship price, and you're looking at a really, really decent display, but with a lower pixel count than the competition. And from all the reviews I've seen, only a handful have picked up on the fact that if you look really closely, you can see it's not quite as sharp as a competition. Yeah. How do you feel about full HD?
I'm kind of fine with it now. It feels like a couple of years ago that we were criticising a lot of phones for having full HD displays, and now, I think when it's this good quality full HD display, it doesn't matter too much. If you're going to be that kind of person that really cares that much. But I'd rather have the full HD display generally if it's a good quality one, like on the Huawei, and then have that and get slightly better battery life.
Yeah,
that's my thinking behind it.
If it's a battery display resolution balance, then I would definitely lean towards a better battery every single time myself. And it is interesting. You point out also, why is it the Chinese manufacturers with their flagships? You're right. Like the LG G7 is purported to have a Quad HD display. So is the Samsung.
LG's not Chinese though.
No, as in like a Quad HD.
I see.
So whereas, and the Sony's actually a full HD as well. So Japanese manufacturers.
Yeah, that is odd.
Yeah, it is odd, but also don't forget the iPhone. The iPhone 10 has iPhone 8 that's a flagship price if ever I saw one, and that's a full HD display. So I think maybe Apple sets a bar, and if as long as they're above Apple's or on the same resolution as Apple, it's a respectable resolution. But I will definitely agree with you in the sense that the P20 Pro is the first 1080p flagship device I've used in a while that I've looked really closely and I've seen like slight bittiness, but that probably has something to do with the fact it's a Pentel OLED as well. It isn't LCD. OLEDs are slightly sharper, and AMOLEDs have a slight bittiness in their Pentel subpixel formation. Blah blah blah. Right, what are you guys asking? Camera specs. This looks like it's going to have a very, very similar setup to the OnePlus 5T.
Yeah, so dual camera on the rear.
Dual camera on the rear, 20 megapixel and a 16 megapixel dual camera.
Working together
to give you blurry backgrounds. We've seen has been a post from the CEO of OnePlus, a picture that he took in one of the campuses in the US with a portrait mode. So it will have a portrait mode. It looked like a really good picture. F1.7 aperture on the primary camera as well. So that suggests it's going to be really, really decent low light.
I love when CEOs and stuff come out with these pictures, and it's just like, imagine if they just uploaded the worst picture possible. Do you remember when Tim Cook uploaded that picture from the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
And it ended up getting taken down because it was just absolutely atrocious. It was like shot on my iPhone. I don't know what it was at the time, probably iPhone 7. And it was like shot on my iPhone 7. It was just a terrible photo. I just want every CEO to go out and do that and then like tease their phone, being like, look, this is the worst possible picture I can take with this phone.
A PR manager's nightmare. Just like rugby tackling him. No. There's also other leaks around the cameras. So there's a secondary camera, 16 megapixels, but this time around, it looks like they're going to get a bumped up front camera on the OnePlus 6 from 16 megapixels right up to 20 megapixels. So that should increase the resolution nicely and bring out all your pores.
Yeah, I like the front camera on the, I think it was OnePlus 5 that introduced the 16 megapixel, and that was just really phenomenal good. Anyway. Really so solid, I don't think that's really necessary, but if it's going to be that slightly bit better, go for it. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. They could go in the same direction as HTC, how they've done it before, and Huawei. They could do some pixel binning, so they combine pixels to improve low light performance. So turn that 20 megapixel that's into 5 megapixels and create better low light shots. You never know. That would be something that would be really nice, actually, because I don't think you need higher than 4 megapixel selfies if they're really, really good.
The OnePlus 5 was a really big step forward for the camera on the OnePlus phones. I think that was the real
And actually, that's the other area. The OnePlus 6T really did improve. OnePlus 5T really did improve over the OnePlus 5 because the OnePlus 5 was a huge step forward, and then the OnePlus 6 changed things and made them even better.
I think the 6 is going to. I think the 6 will be a really minimal camera upgrade. I don't think they're going camera at all here. I think we're focusing on the screen. We're going for the notch. We're going for those kind of things. And I think we're going much more design led. I think camera will be a very similar setup. And that's not really a problem, considering the phone they released 6 months ago is
absolutely
pretty good
when it comes to the camera.
Not the best.
Definitely not. Exactly. I doubt there'll be optical image stabilization on these cameras. That would be like the optical image stabilization is quite a high cost if they're looking to keep the cost down.
It's one of those features we were talking about earlier with the wireless charging and that kind of level of feature where it's not necessary for everyone, so they can drop that kind of feature. I wouldn't expect that either.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to biometrics, fingerprint scanner
and face unlock again, I would assume. How they do that might change, but I would expect face unlock again, which seemed to work really well on the 5T, didn't it? So and then fingerprint scanner, which I think will probably be on the rear. Is what we've seen so far.
Yeah, we've seen the central line fingerprint scanner on the rear of the phone, just below the camera surround. We've got a question from Neil H. Any idea if the OnePlus will be doing AI? The answer is yes, based on the Snapdragon 845. So the Snapdragon 845 has an AI component inside, and as a result, there will be some kind of capability. How much OnePlus exercises that, whether they integrate AI into the camera, different scene recognition, which since Huawei did that, we canned them for doing that. We were like, it's just scene detection. You've had this on compact cameras for like however long, but actually they've taken it to the next level with the P20 Pro, where it will automatically flip into portrait mode, blurring out the background if it detects a face, and they've improved on it. It isn't really advanced AI, but it's useful.
Yeah, it's a marketing word there, isn't it? And I think I don't think OnePlus has really got that. They're not really there yet for pushing on that kind of angle. So yeah, I think they use the Snapdragon features, but probably not anything directly from OnePlus.
No. We know this phone will have a notch, says Al Taraji. But will they allow us to hide it like Huawei does? And the answer to that is categorical yes, I think. So according to the leaks, let me just search for hide them.
From what I remember when they originally announced the notch, they said basically OnePlus were very undecided on whether to go for a notch design or not, and they spent a lot of time thinking about that, and then they thought for the people that will end up not liking the notch, let's put in a feature so they can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of a notch though. That's the thing that I found myself even writing when I've been writing articles and stuff, saying that you can get rid of the notch. That's not a thing. You are just blacking out the bits of screen along the sides of it to make it look like there's not a notch there. So I don't want anyone being fooled into thinking that the notch is then going to disappear and you get that extra screen space.
But if it's an OLED display, then you can effectively make it look like there's no notch because it blacks so deep, and use that area for notifications and things, as does the P20 and P20 Pro.
But the notch is a part of, is taking away part of the display, so you can't get rid of it in that sense.
Or adding.
Exactly.
Because it's potentially 19 by 9 instead of 18 by 9, so that extra bit of dimension is because of the notch, and so you're getting a useful area that showcases notifications like a second screen would. So it depends how you want to look at it. I think I mentioned this when I was dying on camera 2 weeks ago in the Mate RS live review. If anyone had the misfortune to catch that, I'm sorry, I wasn't well. But I had an interview with a Mate RS designer in Porsche Design, and he was saying how the notch is just such an aberration for him. It's just this thing that disrupts your viewing experience, and even if you hide it, it's a bad thing. So that's why the Porsche Design Mate RS looks more like a Samsung Galaxy S9. Interesting. If you wonder, will Samsung go with a notch down the line? If their design guys think like this guy at Porsche Design, they definitely won't. So it definitely won't be for everyone. For me personally, I will say I do not mind one bit the notch on the P20 Pro, and I use the iPhone 10, and on both phones the notch didn't bug me too much.
I'm fine with it now as well. I never really had a massive problem with it, but I can understand how people they feel like they're losing part of the display. I think is probably part of why people get so upset about it. And if you just don't like that design, you don't like that design. So and it's a really personal thing, isn't it? What you want on the front of your what you want on the front of your phone, and whether the notch is going to get in the way of you watching video and that kind of stuff. That is a really, I don't know. That's a really quite emotional thing there. I think, for
exactly.
A lot of people.
So we're coming to the
end. I'm trying to think what else
we haven't got a huge amount, but we do have a clarification point. Do we think it will be expandable? We can pretty much categorically say no, it won't.
They would. I don't think OnePlus will ever do that.
I mean, they've never had to. 64 gigs is a really generous amount to start off with, but if you opt for the 256 gig version or potentially 128 gig, depending on what ends up coming out, no need for that.
I don't think they've ever done an expandable storage phone, have they?
I don't
think the X
was the X. I don't
think it was. I reviewed that back. Again, that was back in 2015 or so, but I don't think they've ever done one, and I don't think they probably ever will. It's one of those features that they don't need to introduce now. So
they've sold phones without. So just wrapping up super quickly, rounding off the design, you've got a glass back expected, metal frame. Interview with The Verge, they said categorically there will be a notch, and since then we've seen that you will be able to hide the notch. There will be a headphone jack, water resistance as well. Oh, we didn't talk about the alert slider. Based on a leak that OnePlus revealed, not a leak, therefore a reveal, the alert slider is on the other side. So in the revealed image, we see one side of the phone and there's no alert slider. Then in another big reveal, they told us that the alert slider would be used to focus the camera.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
I didn't know that. Right.
So it's not on the normal side, suggesting it has to be on the other side. I'm not entirely sure how you'd focus a camera with the alert slider. Maybe that pertains to manual controls. I don't know, but that was one of the bits of information OnePlus shared. So
that's one of my favorite features on the OnePlus phone. So I'm happy that's
the alert slider is there. So we also know black, white, and red versions are available, and there will be a dual camera around the back. It's slightly bigger, 6.28-inch display, so a fair bit bigger actually.
Yeah.
But you're also going to see a bigger battery, 3,450 milliamps. The camera will be 20 megapixels and 16 megapixels around the back, f1.7 aperture, and the front camera will be 20 megapixels f2 aperture. So there will more than likely be face unlock, and the fingerprint scanner is definitely there. Snapdragon 845 on the inside, paired with either 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, as low as 64 gigabytes of storage and as high as 256 gigabytes, and unlikely that we're going to see wireless charging. The launch day is going to be May 16th. We will be there with videos ready to share with you guys, and it'll come in an Infinity War edition exclusive to India for any Avengers fans out there.
I love that you did that all from memory. That was amazing.
I know, right?
That was just so good.
There is no laptop in front of my face. So that pretty much sums up, for anyone who caught the tail end of this, what we've been discussing for the past half hour. If you've got any questions that you want us to answer, and we've missed it on here, this video will go sticky live on our channel. So just fire them into the comments section below. And if we don't, one of our lovely viewers will answer your questions. But hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you check back.
I've enjoyed it.
On the 16th and the 15th for the Honor 9 launch, and tomorrow for the LG
Honor 9 launch.
Honor 10.
What are we launching the 9 again? Yeah, the Honor 10.
Honor 10 launch. It is late in the day, guys.
So many phones all the time at the moment.
So yeah, tomorrow actually check back, because there will more than likely be some LG G7 goodness floating about the internet. I don't think you. Do you think you?
I don't know.
I don't know
why
what
I think
he's talking about.
I don't know why I think
but I think you guys are excellent. Thank you so much for watching and being super interactive. And a big shout out to our first commenter of the day, the British Unknown. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.